storm this afternoon. High temperature 80 degrees. Humidity hangs around along with some patchy clouds overnight. Will dip down to 67. Then tomorrow it'll be seasonably warm and humid with a blend of sun and clouds. High temperature 86 degrees. Right now it's 70 degrees. Your next news update in 30 minutes. Continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. I'm Elisa Z. Now Chicago's Morning Answer Show continues on AM 560. The Answer.
From the Matrix Home Solutions studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Just a couple of cleanup items from our conversation with Joel Zinberg, who we always enjoy talking to. He's been on the show many times, Dr. Zinberg. The disagreement that he and I had about the case fatality rate under the age of 70. I just want to make sure I stated it right, because I don't want to traffic in bad data like everybody else does. The issue of the case fatality rate, and I mentioned 99.95 survival rate under the age of 70. The case fatality rate just 0.05 under the age of 70 right. For people who get COVID. And I wanted to make sure I say that right, because somebody tweeted at me the 0.05, which is what I thought I said, but I wanted to make sure that that's what I'm saying. So 0.05. So the annual influenza has a case fatality rate that normally ranges around 0.1. So that would be higher under the age of 70
right.
than COVID. And this is the disagreement that Dr. Zinberg and I had. The 0.05 comes from CDC.
Right. So you are right, and he is wrong.
Well,
because we want the truth to get out.
It's a CDC number. So I'm just saying what the CDC number is. This is what they've reported. It's 99.95, 0.05 case fatality rate for healthy under the age of 70. Okay. And you wanted to make mention of Oswego.
Yeah, Oswego, the school board voted last night 6-0 to make masks optional for the fall. And then if you look on to try to get into what happened last night in Lake Forest High School, apparently a lot of parents spoke up, some for the first time, to complain about masks. And now that school board meeting has been yanked from YouTube because of the content of the meeting. That was discussed. And all they were discussing, Dan, was whether or not to make masks optional or to ban masks. Wear masks.
Welcome to the party of being banned by YouTube there, Lake Forest parents.
Yeah, you woke people.
All right, switching gears now. Pleased to have joining us a gentleman who worked at the right hand of vaunted FBI director, man credited for founding the agency. That would be, of course, J. Edgar Hoover. His name is Paul Letersky. He's a former FBI special agent and member of J. Edgar Hoover's personal staff, and he's got a book called The Director, My Years Assisting J. Edgar Hoover. Paul Letersky, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for calling me. Appreciate it. Hope you guys are having a good morning.
So it's interesting. One of the things that you mentioned in the book that's sort of different about J. Edgar Hoover, people forget this who didn't live through the era, perhaps. Don't know the era very well, that this was a man who was revered and respected during his life. He became vilified in death.
Well, that's true, and it started happening just about a year before he died, when it was discovered the program we worked on, which was the counterintelligence program, which violated a lot of civil rights, and it became disclosed to the public.
And so, as you were with him for those many years, how did the FBI develop? Did it develop in a way that you thought, other than what you're describing with his enemies list and his abrogation of responsibilities to respect civil rights laws and so forth? Did the FBI generally, as an organization beyond J. Edgar Hoover, did it develop in a way that you thought was productive, or was it starting to lose sort of mission focus and get beyond what it should have been in the business of doing?
No, while I was there, their focus was greater and greater, and expanded their jurisdiction with new legislation that had come out, and it just grew. Just a couple of years prior to his death, his public approval rating was 80%, and I think any politician would love that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and you spent years with this man on a day-to-day basis. Tell us about what he was like and his attitude toward Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Excuse me, I just had a quick cough. He was a very complex man, and everything we did in his office, everything was formal, and all the rules were his. He was just all business. He called me Mr. Letersky, never called me Paul, over all those years. And his attitude towards Martin Luther King was one that he coordinated with Bobby Kennedy when Bobby Kennedy was the Attorney General. The concern, and this is the reason why there were wiretaps and bugs on Martin Luther King, there were two card-carrying communists who were the advisors, senior advisors to Martin Luther King, and they were influencing him, and Hoover and Bobby Kennedy and Jack Kennedy were concerned that they were influencing the followers of Martin Luther King. And that's why Bobby Kennedy authorized, and I saw the letter where he authorized the wiretapping of King.
Was J. Edgar Hoover a racist, in your view?
No, not at all. Nope, not at all. Not even close.
Well, elaborate on that, because obviously that's the perception he has, in part because of those wiretaps on King and others.
Well, I guess that's because people didn't understand the history and didn't understand what was really happening at the time. It had nothing to do with race. It had to do with communism. And I saw him with many African Americans, and he always treated them with respect and dignity the same way he treated everybody. So that's really a false impression of him.
Did you see the movie that was made about him with Leo DiCaprio playing the role of J. Edgar Hoover?
Yeah, I've never seen so many inaccuracies, and it was just awful. Yeah, I did see it. To answer your question, it was awful.
Was there anything correct in the movie?
No, I can't think of anything offhand.
Give us the inaccuracies, because that's what's important. Because unfortunately, a lot of people learn their history or what they think they know from feature films, and so the aspects of that film that were grotesque exaggerations of J. Edgar Hoover or the FBI under J. Edgar Hoover.
You're absolutely correct. I guess I can start with Miss Gandy, Helen Gandy. We all called her Miss Gandy, and Hoover called her the same way. There's no way that there was anything close to a romantic affair with that. He was angry all the time in the film, DiCaprio. I never heard Hoover raise his voice like that. And he certainly didn't ever wear a dress, and the fact that with Colson, a lot of people thought he was gay. I'm not sure whether he was or not. But
thought Hoover was gay, or did you say Chuck Colson?
Dwight Colson and Hoover.
Dwight
Colson was
Dwight Colson.
Yeah, and he was the associate director.
Yeah.
So those are pretty significant inaccuracies, especially the relationship with Helen Gandy. My gosh, there was no way she would ever come in and call him Edgar. He was always Mr. Hoover or the director.
Interesting.
And they always have to have a love interest, though, in all these Hollywood movies.
Well, despite the cast, the impressive cast, it was a terrible movie, and Leo DiCaprio didn't sell being J. Edgar Hoover in my mind. So perhaps there's not too much to worry about there.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed because I like Clint Eastwood a lot.
Yeah, right. It was an Eastwood film. That's right. You're right. Talk about the FBI today as you've watched what's unfolded over the last several years in particular. What do you think the FBI? What do you think of your former agency today?
A little disappointed with them. They're too political, and I don't want to get into the political aspects of it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have a number of intelligence agencies, especially when you're dealing with foreign intelligence, they were using the FISA courts to spy on American citizens. It was very disappointing. And today, with Chris Wray, I think the jury's still out on him. But he seems to be slow-walking Congress. They've been asking him for all kinds of information and emails and what have you, and he keeps coming out with delays. It was never this political under Hoover. And Hoover was in control of everything. And Hoover denied doing certain things for presidents. He had no qualms about refusing to do things when he felt that was personal or political for political gains of the president. And the president would always say, well, it's a national security matter, and that's why we have to look into it. But Hoover was a great political poker player, and he knew whether it was national security or not. He challenged the president to do that. And right now, there's a line between national security and political activism, and that line's pretty blurred right now.
The way Hoover was portrayed, both in film and in print, and a lot of print, is that he sort of had this dark, almost Nixonian side to him. Is that a fair representation of at least one aspect of him?
Not that I ever witnessed.
So when you say he was a complicated man, then what was complicated about him? What complicated his character that led him to do things that were unquestionably wrong, like we just discussed with those civil rights violations?
This was a program called Counterintelligence. COINTEL Pro was the code name, and it was a counterintelligence program. And it was psychological warfare against subversive groups. And it started against the U.S. Communist Party and then extended to infiltration of the Ku Klux Klan. Now, when the same tactics were performed against subversive groups in the 1960s and early 70s, the press and the public opposed to them. They didn't oppose to it when it was the Ku Klux Klan, but they did when it was the subversives of, for example, the Weathermen.
Yeah, right.
Who bombed police buildings and government buildings, and they were a Marxist group whose purpose was, as a matter of fact, they declared war on the United States, and their purpose was to create a classless society, which is
Well, yeah, we know them well. They're Illinois pensioners after being at UIC and Northwestern Family Law Center these days. Yeah, right. Yeah, isn't it wonderful?
They're both teaching in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
It's
making a living.
That's what we do. We put domestic terrorists at our universities in Illinois for some reason. I don't know why exactly. But so it's interesting because you would say, it seems to me, that J. Edgar Hoover was not political. One of the arguments would be that the politicization of the FBI and using the FBI, weaponizing the FBI to go after political opponents for a party in power began with J. Edgar Hoover, and you sound like you would dispute that.
And I would, because I was there when he denied doing things like that. Matter of fact, Nixon was probably his best, not a best friend, but probably the president that he got along with most, because their friendship went back to the 1950s during McCarthyism, when Nixon was involved with the Alger Hiss situation.
Yeah.
And so Hoover and Nixon developed a good friendship. But when Nixon asked him to implement a program called the Houston Plan, which was very oppressive and really extended the boundaries. But this was Nixon's paranoia, trying to find leaks. And when Hoover denied doing that, that's when the plumbers were developed, because Nixon didn't know what else to do. And Hoover's relationship with Nixon started going south when he refused to implement that program.
Very interesting. He is Paul Letersky, former FBI special agent and member of J. Edgar Hoover's personal staff. The book, pick it up. It's a good perspective on an important part of American history, an important agency and director of it in American history. The book is The Director, My Years Assisting J. Edgar Hoover. Paul Letersky, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck with the book.
Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Hi, it's Amy. And as you know, our friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He didn't stop by simply creating the best pillow. Mike created the new Giza Dream bed sheets. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me, which is crucial for my busy schedule. He found the world's best cotton called Giza. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable. The Giza sheets come with a 60-day money-back guarantee, a 10-year warranty, and come in a variety of sizes and colors. And guess what? The first night you sleep on them, you'll never want to sleep on anything else. So check out this special offer on Giza Dream Sheets just for you. Receive 2-for-1 low price with free shipping. Call 1-800-489-0201. Use the promo code Amy or go to mypillow.com. Make sure you use the promo code Amy. That number again, 800-489-0201. Promo code Amy.
Guys, I want to encourage you to make your health a priority. It's easier than you think at Low T Center. They're reinventing the doctor's visit, making it quick and easy to get all of your levels checked, not just your